G'day and welcome to all joining us for this edition and preview, which will be for the Turffontein Standside Track race meeting. And just taking a look, it'll be the 1st of June. So bringing in the 1st of June, with me on the line is Alistair Cohen. Alistair, how are you doing your part of the woods?
Yeah, good, thank you, Sheldon. Not a bad little card to start off June. Obviously, June's a big month on the South African racing calendar with a lot of Group 1 races down in KZN, and obviously the Jubilee Stakes in Joburg, and also a few features around Western Cape and Eastern Cape. So I think it's a nice way to start the month. Obviously, sadly lost race 8 at the Vaal on Tuesday. I've never seen weather like that suddenly turn the way that it did. It looked fairly threatening when we got there, but then it cleared. But then all of a sudden, a huge storm in late May, which is unheard of. But paid for racing at the last race of the Vaal on Thursday. We're not forecast to have those issues on Thursday at Turffontein, so let's hope it all goes according to plan.
Let's get straight into the action. Race number 1 on an 8-race program will be the opening leg of the bar pot, and a ready-made banker in the form of number 1 Ripple Effect, who's very sharp in the betting at around about 3 to 10, 4 to 10 Ripple Effect. Looking at this daughter of Erupt from the Fortune stable, they're in red-hot form. That run in the nursery, third to Lucky Lad. I suppose the form says it all.
Yeah, Sheldon, this filly will be a very hard horse to beat. Ran against boys last time. She acquitted herself well behind Lucky Lad. There's nothing anywhere near that level of form in this race. The two first-timers don't strike too much, certainly as being forward enough to turn over number 1, Ripple Effect. Number 2, iStar's holding relatively high regard. The last one was disappointing behind Egyptian Mao. There have been winners out of that form, but I just think the level that number 1 Ripple Effect brings in, the form of the yard. Ashley Fortune had 3 runners yesterday, 2 of them in the same race, but 2 wins and a 4th. The yard's on fire. Raymond Danielson's riding very well at the moment. A banker and all bets. Start your day off well.
Let's move on to race number 2. Race number 1 seems quite simple, and race number 2 looks to be a match race between numbers 1 Jerusalem Rain, who ran second to Lucky Lad in the nursery last time out, and then quite interesting, number 3 Sandringham Summit, who ran second to Lucky Lad first time out, and then came and absolutely waltzed in next time out. So I see you put the 2 horses in the bar part and just judged on Jerusalem Rain. Let's kick off with the Fortune Yard again. They'll be looking for a quick double.
Yeah, and I think they're expecting certainly their first 3 with Meridius on the next race to run big races. But the regard that number 3 Sandringham Summit is holding puts me into his direction here, Sheldon. I think that they're going to run 1-2. I've gone both horses in the bar pot, which is my suggested bet. But Sandringham Summit obviously went very close to Lucky Lad first time up. Lucky Lad subsequently won the South African nursery. He's favoured in the gold medallion on Saturday at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. And then last time beat Barbaresco, and I can tell you that Barbaresco is held in very, very high regard. So that looks good. It probably needs to be proven that number 3 Sandringham Summit can maintain that level of form of Barbaresco is held in high regard. But I still love the way that he won. He is absolutely clueless what he's doing, number 3 Sandringham Summit. And the more racing he does, the more wise he will become. So I think that he's got a bit more scope than number 1 Jerusalem Rain, and number 2 Ready to Charge is obviously a very nice horse as well. Jerusalem Rain, speaking to Ashley Fortune yesterday, like I said, she expects the first 3 to go well. So number 1 Jerusalem Rain, on the back of that run in the South African nursery, has to be strongly respected. He's done very little wrong. The 2 spots that he's been beaten in, he's left with not much He's left with his head held high, put it that way. So he's a huge danger. I respect his chances. And he's also drawn on what's perceived to be the right side of the track. So that's got to be a positive. And then number 2, Ready to Charge. Won in good style first time out at the Vaal. He's also got quite a reputation. I worry about the level of the form, though. Captain Warrior is still languishing on the maiden ranks. And there were a few in behind. I think there was that horse called Cheza who took a couple more starts to win. So it's not all bleak for number 2 Ready to Charge. But I think even though he might develop into a very, very nice horse, he's got 2 perhaps even nicer horses to worry about.
Let's step on the gas to race number 3. And yeah, there's an up-and-coming 3-year-old, number 6, Brave Viking from the J. Somas stable. And just looking at the anti-post betting, the show is pre-recorded the day before, trading at 16 to 10. Number 1, Meridius at 28 to 10. And then we go out to number 2, Willow Express at around 9 to 2 with Running Rifles. Number 6, Brave Viking. Now, he's obviously the improver in the pack. He's got 52 kilograms, so there's an 8 kg difference between himself and Meridius. Where will you be leaning in race number 3, Alistair?
Sheldon, Brave Viking has me a bit puzzled, I must be honest, because American Biscuit ran yesterday at the VAR out of the form with Shoemaker, and he didn't raise a gallop. He was very, very disappointing. So I'm a little worried, even though on paper Brave Viking and American Biscuit ran above their ratings last time in that graduation plate. Shoemaker must have been I know he was underdone, but he must have been awfully underdone going into that race, and his class just pulled him through. And I think the margin of victory might just suggest and back that up. So I've left the favourite, number 6, Brave Viking, out, despite having a touch of respect for him. I'm going to look to beat him with numbers 1, 3, and 5. Number 1, Meridius, I've already touched on him throughout the first 2 Ashley Fortune runners. They're expecting a big run from the son of Canford Cliffs. He's a good horse. He's workmanlike. He's a trier. He's a grinder. And there's every possibility that he can defy top weight and win. It won't be easy, though, because on a line of form, this horse number 3, Barney's Pride, although not weighted to turn around 6 1/4 lengths, he's weighted to get a good deal closer. And there's no doubt he needed that last run behind Meridius. I think he'll finish much, much closer. In fact, I don't think it's impossible that he turns the form around with number 1, Meridius. So there's my value in the race, number 3, Barney's Pride. And then number 5, Running Rifles, cannot be left out either. It was a back-to-the-wall win last time when beating Cabinet Shuffle at the VAR over 14.50. I think the extra 150 will suit him down to the ground. He would have been entitled to need that last run as well, and he still came out on top, so he could take another step forward. So 1, 3, and 5 for me in the first leg of the Pick 6. That's my bar pot play. As far as the Pick 6 is concerned, it's hard to rule any of them out. 2, Willow Express, and 6, Brave Viking obviously have to go in.
What do you make of number 4, Sir Michael? I know was beaten almost 6 lengths behind Meridius last time out, but if the proper Sir Michael arrives at the track, I mean, he's got the ability to run into the money?
Sheldon, that's been the analogy and the thinking for a lot of Sir Michael's recent runs. He dropped the bit horribly last time out, but he actually seems to stay on nicely. With Keegan DeMello on board, there's no reason to completely ignore his chances. The feeling is he'll run a much better race this time around. I think he might just fall short. I think he's got a good top 4 chance, to be honest, but I'm not sure he can quite win it. It's hard to be confident with a horse who just didn't travel at his last 2 starts.
Right, let's move on to race number 4, and this will be over 1,400 meters. When you look at the anti-post betting, number 5, Turbo Power, is at 22 to 10. Number 2, Free Movement. That's a horse who loves to run back in second, so they got him second on the boards at 28 to 10, and then 9 to 2 about number 1, Gimme a Diamond. Would it be fair to say that number 5, Turbo Power, probably met something quite special first time out?
That's possible, Sheldon, but then yesterday at the VAR, all the horses that ran the Capsaicin form didn't rip up any trees, so that's a little bit of a worry. It could be evident that Capsaicin is just a cut above and many levels above, and is going to go through the divisions. And I think Turbo Power is the likely marker where we're going to get a good gauge of where Capsaicin is and if Turbo Power is any good. I think Sean, I don't know this, I haven't spoken to Sean about Turbo Power. I chat to Sean quite a bit, but I haven't caught up with him in the last 2 weeks. But if I think back to Turbo Power's first run and the support that there was, and the fact that he put DeMello up and got DeMello again, that would be a sign that I think Sean holds him in fairly high regard, number 5, Turbo Power. I'm just a little bit gun-shy that all the horses that ran around Turbo Power ran poorly at the VAR on Tuesday. So I've backed him up with number 1, Gimme a Diamond, who was on the wrong side of the course in that Monaco maiden sprint. That is the strongest open maiden form line in Johannesburg, so there's no way number 1, Gimme a Diamond, is going to get marked down from me. 2, Free Movement. This is a good deal more competitive than the last 3 maidens that he's running. Maybe the better quality of horses will carry him through. I don't know. He's got 0 running. And if he does hit the front, he's got to do it a few strides before the line, number 2 free movement. But you wouldn't want egg on your face with number 2 free movement because he's just got the credentials to win. And then this horse number 9, Rosoro Finale, ran a nice race first time out on the inside track. He is a giant, and I think going on to the stand side track, you will see a lot of improvement. The horse who beat him, Give Me Another Chance, take it from me, is out of the top draw. Whether he's going to be good enough to win a group race in KZN this winter, I don't know. But I'm sure you'll see him in a couple of group races. I'm sure he'll run well. But I think he's going to develop into a very, very nice 3-year-old. So watch number 9, Rosoro Finale. I'd expect huge improvement, and I think that he's going to run a big race.
Excellent. And then number 7, Lions Are probably worth a mention. We're talking about Sandringham Summit earlier on, so another horse that you can factor in race 4. Let's move on to race number 5, where they'll do battle over 1,400 meters. And yeah, all the V's are going to get involved. Barring number 1, Angel of War, who's currently at 22-10. We have Vitellius at 3-1, Vesuvio at 9-2, and Vava Vegas at 8-1. So, Alistair, maybe the triple V trifecta.
Vava Vegas, I don't have him in. If that can run into the first 3 and you get Vesuvio and Vitellius, then you just know that I'll be having a bet on V Woodley if he's running in the next race. I don't like the race, Sheldon. If Vitellius was drawn better, I'd probably banker him in my bar pot and place accumulator. But because he's 10 out of 10 over 1,400 meters on the stand side track, Gavin Arena's going to have his work cut out. And off top weight, being a 3-year-old and sort of giving weight to the likes of Vesuvio and a few other older horses, even the likes of Vava Vegas, it's not impossible that he might be found wanting. He's an above-average horse, and he goes back to 1,400 meters, the distance that he won over. So from that point of view, it's something to mark him up on. But a horse that I would ordinarily be keen on has got a couple of things against him. Number 1, Angel of War, won a good race beating Ryan's Dream last time. Ryan's Dream flashed up at the Val on Tuesday and ran second, so that looks okay. Matchett's absolutely flying at the moment, and from gate number 1, Angel of War cannot be discounted. And then my backup is number 6, Vesuvio, a horse I'm so annoyed with myself, Sheldon, because he's been on my radar for such a long time, and I dropped him off a couple of starts ago. But then with the rating drop last time, he came alive again. So even though he's got a penalty and he's up in the weights and he drops some distance, there's more reasons to be against number 6, Vesuvio, than with number 6, Vesuvio. But I've always thought a fair amount of him, certainly at this type of level, that he could reel off a few wins, and I'm going to put him back in my good books after I dropped him off for his last win.
On to race number 6, which is a Pinnacle Stakes over 1,000 meters. And being a Pinnacle Stakes, just looking at the best weighted column, number 3, Sheila, is the best weighted, from number 5, Godswood, and then 7, 4, and 6. Taking a look at the anti-post betting, number 3, Sheila, is at 16-10. Roll with the Punches, 5-1. Mercantor, 5-1. And then you can go out to around 7-1 and better. In race number 6, there's some decent sprinters here, and of course MK's Pride. He comes back for a 1,000-meter pipe opener, yeah?
Yeah, it's obviously just a starting point for number 1, MK's Pride. Over 1,400, 1,600 on the half vaults. He's always worth having a look at, but he's got pace, he's got gate speed, but he just tends to idle in the lead and stack them up. That's his way. With all these speedballs around him, I'm not too sure he'll get the run of the race. And if he does find himself with a few to pass, I don't know whether he'll be able to pass them, despite him being very, very capable. I think number 3, Sheila's the best horse in the race here, Sheldon. She's an accomplished sprinter, 1,000 meters her game. Her run in the computer form sprint was a good effort. I probably expected a little bit more after Master Archie got scratched. I thought Sheila would have got very close to Izzy Vungu Vungu, but the Aussie Yard that day, I think they were disappointed with how all their horses ran, because they expected more from Kiss Me Captain, and then there was also Amber Rock in the nursery, who was pulled out of the race, but thankfully he's good and well and back home. So it just was a bad day at the office for the Aussies on Champions Day. I think Sheila will bounce back. I think that she will win. And obviously, as you mentioned, the best weighted column does suggest that as well. Number 2, Mercantile, is also a good horse. I think he's targeting the post merchants, if I'm not mistaken. I spoke to Stuart Pettigrew the other day. He had him nominated at Hollywoodbets Scottsville, but he said he's going to dodge that and go back to Durban in mid-June. The only race I can think of is the post-merchant. So maybe this race will tee him up for that. He's also a good horse. I don't know about him over 1,000 meters. He's had 3 starts over 1,000 meters without a win, but 2 places. So, against this quality, he might just be doing his best work late, but I do respect his chances. And then a horse that just keeps going from strength to strength, number 8, Mover and Shaker. The handicaps are now going to be a thing of the past for him. He's got to run at these types of races. And he might have found the right one drawn towards the outside, the 50.5 kilos. I like his chances of punching above his weight again, Sheldon. So 3, Sheila, my top choice. Respect for number 8, Mover and Shaker, my second choice. And then number 2, Mercantile, even though I think he's probably prepping, and this is the distance too short, his quality probably could or should get him into the money.
Now we're going to put you on the spot as we move to race number 7 over 2,400 meters, where they are betting 5-1 the field, and there's around about 3 joint favorites at 5-1, and then we go out to 7-1 and better. So I suppose this is a race where you just got to shuffle the deck and see who comes out on top. But let's kick off with your runner, Banner Bridge, a horse who's really thrived going over the extra trip.
Yeah, Sheldon, he's not missed the first 4 this season. I'd expect the same from him again. His penultimate start, he came back, his bloods were... Candice has never seen numbers like what his bloods came back, and so it's actually a minor miracle that he ran 9.5 lengths behind White Fang on that occasion. And then last time up behind a fraud, I'm not sure the race was run to suit, not to make excuses, but look, I think he ran his race, to be fair, beaten 2.5 lengths by a fraud coming off. It was a 6-week break, but he did very little leading up into that race. I think that he'll be right there. It's a super competitive race. JP van der Merwe takes the ride. He actually rode him before, and then he lost the ride. He chose another ride going into another start. But his last remarks when he rode him was that, please put this horse over a trip. So here he is. He's got his wish with Banner Bridge over a trip. So hoping he can get a tune out of him. The horse they need to beat, though, Sheldon, I think that there are obviously a few that hold winning claims here. But on all conceivable pieces of collateral form, number 5, Breeze Over, has got to be overpriced. Keegan DeMello and Adam Azzi and Mike Azzi team up here. On a line through Jet Dynasty, he should finish in front of Jet Dynasty. Comes in 3.5 kilos better for a less than a length deficit. Then there's also a few pieces of form with Breeze Over that makes him a very, very hard horse to beat. He's a real galloper. He's a big striding son of Twice Over. He's got a lovely stride as well. So I think going 2,400 meters for the first time will stand him in good stead. I make him the horse to beat, and also he's got the improvement factor about him. Number 3, Jet Dynasty, does not travel at all, but him going 2,400 meters for the first time is very interesting because at least he's got a chance to keep up and he's got a long time to build up. So despite the fact he's held by number 5, Breeze Over, this 2,400 meters could be the key for him. 1, a fraud has got to be in the race. 2, Positive Attitude has got to be in the race. 6, Banner Bridge, obviously, I'm hoping will be in the race. And then if you like those horses, then number 9, Mambo Camtesio, on a line through a fraud, has also got to be in there. In my heart of hearts, I think Banner Bridge will turn the form around with number 9, Mambo Camtesio. And then the pace angle, number 10, Absolute Value. If he can get out there and make his own running and and stack them up going down the side of the course and up the hill and shoot away, it's not impossible that he stays on. That's going to be the only way that he can win the race, and it's not impossible that it goes his way.
Ending off the meeting, race number 8, they'll go over the 2,000-meter journey. Currently at 2-1 is number 1, Red Maple, and then they're betting 5-1, barring the favorite. Now, Alistair, when you look at Red Maple, the daughter of Silvano, superbly well-bred, climbing the ladder, very impressive last victory, has been pushed up to a 92 and has to carry 60 kilograms as a 3-year-old, but does have the improvement factor still to come. Are you in her camp, or are you looking elsewhere?
Sheldon, I have to go with number 5, Time Judy here. 7.5 kilos per neck in the Spook Express. I can't see the weight turnaround going against number 5, Kind Judy here. She does, as a rule, she doesn't win very often. She's had plenty of chances. She looks dangerous going through a certain point of the race and doesn't put it together. But 7.5 kilos to play with, I'll be astonished if Red Maple can beat Khan Judy. Even though Red Maple's improving, she's getting better. She was totally under the radar and untapped when going into the Oaks trial off a rating of 80. I remember actually sitting in Dubai with this horse, Red Maple, and thinking, what is Sean Terry actually going to do with this horse? How is he going to get anything out of her? Because she looks actually decidedly moderate. And then she won a moderate maiden when time blinked for the first time, and she's just not looked back. But now life is harder. I can't see the weights going against number 5, Khan Judy here, if I'm honest. I respect number 1, Red Maple, but I think she's going to be running for second. 3, Opera Glass won a good race last time, beating a fraud by 4 1/4 lengths. She played them on the break. She went to the front, and they never saw which way she went. So, she could back that up 2 weeks later. But again, I just think Khan Judy's got it absolutely ice cold here. Hard horse to beat. I'm going to be brave to banker her in the pick 6, I must be honest. I really like her chances here, Sheldon.
Excellent. So they've heard from Alistair Cohen, Khan Judy at the weights. As if you look at that last run to Red Maple, Khan Judy, who is trading at a realistic price, again right about 9 to 2, 5 to 1 Khan Judy compared to the favourite Red Maple, who's at about 2 to 1. So maybe worth having a better number 5 Khan Judy, and then throw in 1 or 2 other horses as far as the trifectas and quartets go. Alistair, I'm just going to run through your bar pot and then we'll bid you farewell. So let's bring up Alistair's suggested bet for the day, which is the bar pot. And when looking at the bar pot, Alistair has decided to banker number 1 in the opening leg of the bar pot, followed by numbers 1 and 3. The third leg, 1, 3, and 5. In the next race, numbers 1, 2, 5, and 9. By next leg, 1, 2, and 6. And the last leg, numbers 2, 3, and 8. So that is Alistair Cohen's Turffontein bar pot for the day. As always, Alistair, wonderful chatting to you on the line. And then on a lighter note, how's your bloods? You mentioned that Banner Bridge's bloods weren't good last time out. So for the tipping public out there, a score out of 10?
What, my bloods or Banner Bridge's bloods?
Your bloods.
Oh, my bloods. Oh, no, I'm 11 out of 10, Sheldon.
11 out of 10. Well, that's excellent. Good to hear, and we look forward to seeing you on the weekend. Take it easy.
Cheers, Sheldon. Looking forward to it. Always a pleasure.
Thanks very much to Alistair Cohen. As you heard, his bloods are 11 out of 10, so let's hope the horses do it for you on the track and follow his selections throughout the day and see if you come out on top.